Hello, everyone. Welcome to Developing Palates. I'm Aaron Loomis, and with me, as always, is Jiunn Liu. How you doing, Jiunn?
Doing good.
So today we are talking about the CLE Azabache 2016 TAA Robusto. This is a 5-inch by 50 ring gauge cigar. Comes out of the El Aladino factory in Honduras. Wrapper is listed as Mexican Maduro. Binder is from Honduras, and the filter is from Honduras, Nicaragua, and Peru. Blended by Christian Roa. Price point is $7, and the cigar was released in February of 2016. So with all those details out of the way, Jiunn, what was your pre-light experience like?
I had a very good pre-light experience. First, with the look of the cigar, I thought it had a thick and hearty Maduro shade wrapper. Things well pressed, seems tight. Had a uniform spongy give throughout the whole cigar, which is typically good news. And the head had a thick triple cap finished off with it. Moving on to the nosing experience, the wrapper I got really strong barnyard, some wet earth and construction paper. Smelling the foot, I got some soda white pepper and some sweet dried nuts. Cold draw, dried cardboard mixed nuts and a gritty earthiness. So all in all, very good.
Yeah, I'll talk about the presentation first because this is a really nice looking presented cigar. Has a single band. It's primarily silver, black lettering. Also has some gold highlights on it. The band has a company name up top, and then down below that, there's like a holographic strip on the bottom that has the Azabache name on it. It also has a tissue wrapper that goes from the bottom of that band all the way down to the foot where it's kind of twisted off. And that tissue paper has the CLE name on it. It also has the TAA logo. So really just a really nice presentation before you really get into any of the rest of the cigar. So you just kind of can slide that tissue paper off the bottom of it. After that, what's that?
I was going to write condom in my review, but I didn't.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so pulling that off, really dark brown wrapper. Got a slight box press to the cigar. There's a couple of visible veins, but they're really well pressed. The seams were pretty easily visible, and that's just due to kind of like a slightly darker shade that was right at the edges of the wrapper. But the seams were really blended well and smooth, so there was no issues there. It looked like to me that it was just 2 caps, but there may be 3. Just depending on how yours were applied, you maybe have been able to see the third one a little more visibly. On mine, the top cap, it was really small. It was kind of just right at the top. And the edges were lifting a little bit on some of the edges, but that's not really a big deal because you're gonna chop that off anyway. I don't think I got much aroma at all from the wrapper itself. That might have been partly because the tissue paper covering it, it absorbed some of that aroma. I don't know. But from the foot, I was getting like a really faint sweet tea flavor. And pre-light draw, I got a little bit of a fuller version of that sweet tea that I was getting from the foot there. So flavor-wise, what was your experience like?
So starting from the first third, I got a lot of cocoa. I got this really nice milk creaminess, super milky. Because typically when I describe creaminess, it's like in the form like I talk about the body of the cream. But this was very distinctly milk cream for me. And some balanced black pepper and some sharp oak. I started getting this like bright stone fruit, but that kind of came in and out. And then halfway through, I got a little bit of an ashy harshness to it, but nothing that was, too concerning because it was a very subtle note. The retro, and the retro was the same throughout the whole cigar for me. Got some semi-nose scorching black pepper, mixed nuts finish, which is pretty similar within the whole cigar as well. I got quite a bit of dryness with mixed nuts and balanced black pepper. And throughout the entire cigar, it was body and strength-wise, it was medium. The second and last third is I got the same thing, so I'll combine them together. So I felt like the profile after the first third was more earth and pepper-centric. Black pepper to be more precise, but I still got the same flavors of that milk creaminess, medium body, sweet cream, and sharp oak, but it was more like a secondary kind of a notes. But yeah, I mean, just all in all, I felt like kind of true to kind of the national looks of the cigar, perhaps. It was more on the earthy side, the creamier side, and kind of like a true Maduro tasting kind of a profile for me.
Hmm. Yeah, for me, right when I lit it up, I got like a very smoky wood note. And I kind of liken it to if you're just putting wood chunks on hot coals before you're getting ready to smoke meat. It was really that kind of that smoky wood aroma and flavor that I was getting. After a few draws, a really intense black pepper kind of came through, and that smoky wood was kind of pushed to the background. At half inch in, that pepper settled down quite a bit, and it evened out with the smoky wood, and a little bit of a slight cream joined in. At an inch in, pepper mellows out even more, and creamy coffee is kind of what was up front, and that smoky wood was just kind of noticeable on the finish. And interestingly, the retrohale was like a light creamy cocoa, so I hadn't gotten any of that actually in the flavor, just on that retrohale. At an inch and a quarter, the pepper and the coffee were gone. Smoky wood kind of came back to mix with the creaminess. And then as the third was coming to a close, a little bit of that cocoa finally made its way into the flavor profile to mix in with that creamy and smoky wood. And the strength level was just slightly above medium there for me. Second, third, still slightly creamy cocoa and the smoky wood. And then at a half inch in, the cocoa transitioned over to coffee with the cream and the smoky wood still there as well. Retrohale can kind of transition over to a general woodiness. And then in an inch in, the profile was really working together well with that slightly creamy coffee and the smoky wood that was there. And that's kind of how the second, third finished, and the strength was still at like a slightly above medium level for me. As final third, a nice mix of the creamy coffee, the smoky wood, quarter inch in, a little bit of black pepper kind of joined into the mix. And the retrohale had kind of added a little bit of creaminess to it, so it was creamy wood. And then as the third kind of continued and kind of as the cigar finished out, that pepper kind of peeked in and out as, various draws and things like that. But that creamy coffee and that smoky wood kind of stayed as a consistent base level for me. And the strength had bumped up to medium full. And I was actually starting, it wasn't like crazy level, but I started to notice the kind of the nicotine there. It was starting to, I could feel it in my head. So it was interesting to get that final touch there. Performance-wise, burn and draw, what was the experience like?
I had a overall mediocre experience with the construction. The burn performance was average. I smoked a cigar in a good hour and 40 minutes or so. Burn line was sharp until at the end of that first third. There was a major touch-up that I had to do. And also within the beginning of the last third, I had to do another major touch-up. It was just like probably a fourth of the cigar or so just refused to burn on one side for me. And I think that may have also contributed to the flavors that I received out of the cigar. Mm-hmm. But other than that, ashes held on pretty tight, averaging 1 inch increments. On the draw was good, but it was noticeably tighter side of that spectrum for me. It wasn't a huge issue, but it was something that I, was reminded of within the smoking experience. So overall average.
Yeah, the burn was slightly wavy the entire time, and I did have to do a relight in the final third. But other than that, it was good. Ash held on in inch and a quarter increments. That was a nice feature. The draw was perfect, like for the first half of the cigar, and then it kind of slightly tightened up as the cigar finished out. So it's still very good. It was just, I noticed that it tightened up a little bit in the second half. Overall thoughts on the cigar?
For me, it was a tasty, consistent cigar. Mm-hmm. Not in the sense of like a lot of transitions or, super complex, but, within like the hour 30 or whatnot that I smoked it, like my ADD for cigars didn't even kick in. Yeah. So, so that's one of my barometers that I gauge, I guess. But so it was good in that sense. The only downside was construction for me within those major relights that I had to do. That was a bummer, but I'm curious if if I had smoked more of these for review, that I would have gotten that. But it kind of seemed like through your experience too, you didn't have the perfect construction as well. So yeah. But all in all, good depth of earth, spice, natural sweetness. It was just tasty.
Yeah. Yeah, there were lots of different flavors and transitions in that first third, but I didn't feel like there was a balance of flavors. The flavors, even though there was a lot of flavors, it just didn't seem like they all went well together. It wasn't a bad experience. I still enjoyed it. It just felt like it was just a bunch of flavors that were kind of hitting me, but there was not like a rhyme or reason to them or a smooth transition between them. But then getting into the second third, it really settled into that consistent profile for me. And there was still some slight transitions, so you kind of it kept my attention, and it was definitely more balanced. Like all those flavors worked well together, so that was good that it kind of settled into that profile. The other thing that I like about the cigar is that it maintained the enjoyment level kind of the entire way through. And I think that to me, that's an important factor in a cigar, because as we do reviews, I think we've experienced this quite a bit, is like you have a really good first third, and then either it just drops down a level for the rest of the way, or it just drops continuously in the remaining thirds. So I think being able to just kind of keep that consistency of how much you enjoy the cigar is really nice, because you just know that you could smoke it from the beginning to end, and it's not an up and down journey. It's like you're having a good time the entire time. So I like that. Strength level, slightly above medium the whole way for me. So I think it's approachable to most smokers. And I could definitely see revisiting this cigar again. It was definitely something that was good, and price point's good. It doesn't factor into our score, but I think it's worth noting. I mean, $7 for a Robusto is, that's a good price point, I think. So score-wise, I gave it a 6.87. You gave it a 6.53. How do you think that matches up with your experience?
I think it matches well. I mean, for me, I score the flavors and overall good, and it's offset by more of an average slash, a little bit of a unwanted construction experience.
Yep.
So, yeah, I go by that, and it's in line with my expectations.
Yeah, mine matches up well. I mean, it was a good cigar, and I think that the construction issues is the only thing that kind of knocked down a little bit. Otherwise, it'd be a 7+ rated cigar for me. So I think that's pretty good. Any other final thoughts?
I want to bounce off your take on so like when you were talking about how you felt like there were good flavors, but it didn't really meld together well. I kept thinking that actually when I was smoking the cigar, but for me it was through the whole time, right? Like I was thinking, this is a tasty cigar, right? There's nothing offensive really about any of the notes I'm tasting.
Right.
But there isn't that X factor, I guess, of melding it all together and making a complete profile. So I hear you on that.
Yep. Well, thank you for watching. If you're just catching this video on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to us, but also go to the website, developingpalates.com, to read the full written review. And be sure to follow us on all social media channels, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Google+. Thank you for watching, and we will catch you on the next video.